Democratic Socialist Donovan McKinney, don't be scared, joins me today to talk about running against Shri Thanedar, boo, in Michigan's 13th Congressional District. We talk about getting money out of politics, overturning Citizens United, and what his problems with the Democratic Party are. I hope that you'll enjoy this episode. I hope you'll tell your friends about me, and for the sake of the argument, and watch us on all social media platforms. Donovan McKinney, thank you for coming on for the sake of the argument today. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you, Lori, for having us. I'm excited to be here.
Okay. Well, you are currently in the House, District 11.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you are a candidate for Congressional District 13, which currently is held by, dare I say it, Shri Thanedar.
Yeah.
I guess it's okay to say if you don't say it 3 times.
True.
Anyway, why do you think Representative Thanedar should be out of a job?
He hasn't shown up for our district. And so, I can tell you countless examples that's been reported on by the Detroit Free Press and other publications. But in terms of constituent services, I would say is my biggest gripe with him. He is the congressman, the average congressperson spends about 5% of their office allotment on promotional materials. So that is, mailers.
The budget they get.
Yeah, the budget they get. And they all get the same budget.
Okay.
Unless you're in leadership, you get a little higher budget. But, promotional materials, whether it's mailers, whether it's getting up on TV, billboards, about, hey, connect to my office if you need anything.
Right.
This guy spends about 55% or so of his office allotment on promotional materials. And it is unbelievable. So that's why you see so much happening from his office in terms of mailers and all that stuff. But he doesn't have the staff capacity or the staff because he doesn't pay his staff.
He doesn't have as many staff then.
No, to pick up the phone and do the real work of this district. And I'll tell you this, Lori, this Michigan's mighty 13th district is the 5th poorest congressional district in the country.
What do you mean? In the whole of the United States?
Yes, out of 435 congressional districts across the nation, Michigan's mighty 13th district is the 5th poorest. And so you need that staff to do those caseloads because our district needs somebody who is going to pick up the phone for them. And that's why I'm running.
Because people call constituents that live in the 13th Congressional District, if they have problems from soup to nuts, they are supposed to be able to rely on their elected officials to help solve that problem.
Yes.
So if there's nobody answering the phone in the Congressional 13th District, they're not getting the services or the representation that they are not only paying for through their taxes, but perhaps voted for.
Exactly. So, people, and then he fails to show up on numerous occasions. I know in our downriver western side of the district, we've had a couple trail derailments over the past few years since he's been in office, failed to connect with the local officials there. It's all been noted. And also, we have the largest mass shooting in Michigan's history in my district. About a couple summers ago, July 4th weekend. So 2 July 4ths ago. And it was about, 21 people shot? I believe 2 or 3 people.
It was a block party?
Yeah, it was a block party. Happened in my district. I called a lot of folks. We reached out to Shri. He never came or did anything with the community, but other folks did. And so, when we have an extreme event like that people will remember for generations to come, guess what? We're going to show up. And that's the difference between me and him. And right now at the state level, I pay my staff, my office allotment is close to like 90+% of my office allotment goes to staff salary because as a former legislator, staffer myself, I understand you're only as good as your staff.
Right.
As an elected official. And we need people who are going to pick up the phone, and that's what we do best.
About 3 years ago, I was, for some reason, at the 13th Congressional District holiday party.
Oh, okay.
It was at some kind of a bar or something, in the district, and it was jam-packed. And Shri was giving a speech, and there was a whole group of younger, pretty liberal people there protesting, what happened in Israel. The massacre, and then the stuff that happened afterwards, and they started pushing and shoving and screaming answers. They wanted answers to their questions, and Shri not only wouldn't answer them or try to stand up to speak his piece. He ran out of there like a little girl. Wow. And we were all getting crushed, had my glasses knocked off. It was mayhem, but it was kind of like the correspondence dinner that just happened at the press gathering. Yeah. It was mayhem, and he just got out of there as fast as he could. And I thought to myself, and please forgive me, I thought, what a pussy. So the 13th Congressional District, tell me the communities that are contained within that.
Yes, it's the 5 Grosse Pointe communities. Okay. And then it's Harper Woods, the entire east side of Detroit, Hamtramck, Holland Park. And then if you take 8 Mile down to Wyoming is kind of like the hard border, give or take a precinct or two. Some area goes west of Wyoming, but most of it is Wyoming going east in Detroit. So you take it as far south as you can go, all the way to, Cass Corridor and downtown, and it goes into Corktown, southwest Detroit, and then it branches out again into the suburbs. So I have half of Dearborn Heights, the south side, and then also Melvindale, Taylor, Romulus, and Wayne. And get this, it's not done yet. Then I also have Ecorse, River Rouge. I have, Southgate, Wyandotte, Lincoln Park, Allen Park.
All right. I'm crazy. I'm from Ecorse. I know all those areas. Yeah. Those are like all kinds of stepchildren. Yeah. Disparate. I have never had anyone sit across from me in that chair that had a more crazy, mixed up district.
About 800,000 people. It's a beautiful district.
Wow. You have to have multiple personalities, I think, disorder, to be able to serve that. All right. What would you have done differently from Rep. Thanedar?
Yeah. Well, one, have staff capacity. I'm going to staff up pretty well because our district needs a lot, as we refer to being one of the poorest House districts in the country. 2, is while he was voting to thank ICE last year on a resolution, a few Democrats voted alongside most of the Republicans to thank ICE for a job well done. I certainly would have done that at all. Another thing he did, which kind of ticked me off, was while he was sitting on committee to enrich him and Trump, he's the first congressional member to invest campaign money in cryptocurrency. And so he voted for that without disclosing it, got a tap on the wrist, a $200 fine, because that's how old and draconian the ethic laws are on a federal level. And we're not taking any corporate PAC money at all in our campaign. We're running a grassroots campaign, and we are not adhering to any corporate bidding besides what our district absolutely needs. That's the difference between me and him.
All right. That's a good difference. Aside from Shri Thanedar himself, what are the areas that you think that the Democratic establishment has failed since the Trump administration has come into being?
A couple things, but one that's top of mind, I would say, Lori, is just beholden to the corporations. I'm going to be honest with you. I authored the legislation as a state rep on a state level to get all monopoly corporate money out of our politics in our state, targeting our utility companies and our insurance companies, because our bills are too damn high. People are struggling day to day, not even to survive, just barely scraping by. And so right now, based off our legislation, people got fed up and pissed on the ground. And guess what? They're collecting signatures right now called Mop It Up Michigan, based off the legislation we introduced called Taking Back Our Power. And so at the federal level, what we're looking to do is overturn Citizens United. We have to get our power back as the people of the district and put the people of our district first. And that's what's wrong with the Democratic Party right now. They're trying to play both sides. They say we are the party of the people. If you're the party of the people, well, then make sure that the people's agenda and voices are heard every time we make a decision, and not any of the special interests or the oligarchs or the wealthy. You can't serve two masters. That's what the scripture talks about. And right now, people view the Democrats and the Republicans the same when it comes to economic policies. Even though the Republicans are worse, I will say, But the Dems have to step up and say, hey, we're going to put the people first. And that's why we need to elect folks like me into office to really push our party to where it needs to be.
You're a supporter of Medicare for all.
Yes.
Why do you think Medicare for all is necessary at this moment?
So I'll tell you the story about my mom. Amazing woman, helped raise me to the man I am today. And she has a pre-existing condition. When I was in undergrad at the University of Michigan, go Blue, I got we're national champs, I don't care what they say. But when I was in undergrad in Ann Arbor, I get a call from my mom. She had emergency brain surgery.
Wow.
And she had, I believe, another one since then. And this is before the American Affordable Care Act kicked in, the ACA kicked in. And she told me, she's like, Donovan, like, I don't know where I'm going to get prescription drugs. She didn't have health care at the time.
Wow.
They kicked her off because I got old enough and I aged out and she aged out the system. And so when the ACA finally kicked in, she got the care she needed. But if it wasn't for the ACA, people with pre-existing conditions like my mother, and I know there's so many that live in our district across the state and across the country, would not be covered because these insurance companies are greedy. They don't care about people and what they're going through. They care about the bottom line and how much money they're going to make for their shareholders. And so in reality, what Medicare for All does, it eliminates that issue, making sure that everybody who needs that care gets it, from prescription drugs to the health care they need. And that's why I support Medicare for All.
Do you think it's a possibility that we can get it, or is it just like my pipe dream of someday getting a good facelift? So
listen, people talk about it as a pipe dream, but in reality, we can do it. If there's a will, there's a way. If we're spending, I'm talking about millions and billions of dollars overseas right now for wars that in reality nobody asked for. And we're telling people we're living in the wealthiest country in the world. We're telling folks, hey, you know what? We can't afford to make sure that you're covered. Your health care is covered. We can't make sure that you have the necessary food possible on your table for your children. Like all of these dreams, quote unquote, they're not dreams, they're common sense issues. And if we're going to live our Christian values and be a Christian state, quote unquote, we have to make sure we follow through with taking care of the least of these. That's what the scripture talks about, and we have to do that.
You are a Democratic Socialist, Democratic Socialists of America member. Do you think that label scares people away?
It does, because they don't understand, I believe, what it's all about. I got endorsed by the Working Families Party, by so many other great individuals and organizations. And I talked about it a little earlier on this podcast. What we're talking about is common sense issues and common sense solutions. Like, people should not have to worry about food on their table, making sure they have enough to just thrive and survive. Like, I got people who work in 3-4 jobs. 3 and 4 jobs, can't even spend time with their own family right now because they're trying to play catch up because these bills are increasing. DTE and Consumers Energy keep increasing our rates, and we're allowing the Michigan Public Service Commission to rubber stamp it. All of this stuff is rigged. I say this all the time, Lori. You can hit the lottery today. God willing, you hit it today. But guess what? You still won't be a top 1% of the wealthiest people in our country. You still won't even touch them. Won't even come close. So we all know that the system is rigged, and we need to make sure that for the least of these and the people who are most vulnerable and struggling, we got to protect them. We got to take care of them. We got to make sure they have the resources necessary to honestly live a life that's worth living. That's what it's all about.
And conversely, do you think that since Mom Donnie was elected in New York, that maybe it's more intriguing to people? They might be more interested in learning more about it?
Yeah, I hope so. Like, in reality, like they try to label us and put us in these boxes. But for me, the box I want people to put me in, I'm going to be honest with you, is making sure that I'm pro bringing resources back to my district. And I'm pro understanding that every single human being that lives in our district, every single resident matters. And so I'm going to fight for you. No matter if you vote for me or not, no matter if you agree with me or not, we're going to put you first. And that's why we're running this grassroots campaign. And that's why my opponent is running scared.
You've called for a diplomacy-first approach to foreign policy. How would that differ from the current approach that's being taken and even the approach of the prior Biden administration. What's it all about?
So it's about, the current administration, he's our president. I don't like to call him our president. I call him the orange man. That's what I call him. But in reality, what he's doing is unconscionable and creating situations that really should not exist in the first place. Like going into Iran, literally going on, what is it, True Social? And on Easter Sunday of all days, and then following up saying, hey, I'm going to be responsible for a complete genocide in Iran. Like, what are we sending a message to, not just to the world, but to our children? Our kids are looking up to us. And so for me, this is about understanding that human life is paramount to me. And so we need to make sure we do everything possible to utilize as little resources as possible, making sure, because these are our taxpayer dollars. And I got the 5th poorest congressional district I'm running for, and we got people struggling at home to try to make ends meet, but we got enough money to start wars and do everything we can to create all of this havoc. And then it's not just creating war, it's making sure that our energy cost goes up. Everything that we touch and live that come into our life is going up because of what's happening overseas. And so for me, we have to do it in the most strategic, smart way with diplomacy. And that's what I'm all about. But I'm not for new wars. I'm not for war at all. If we can protect our brothers and sisters in uniform when it comes to our military, then so be it. But what this administration is doing is appalling. And this man needs to be not only impeached, but he needs to go.
And it increases the instability of the whole world.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can say we can't pay our electric bills, we can't put food on the table, we have to work 3 and 4 jobs. Yeah. That's all for naught if we're all going to get blown up in some nuclear apocalypse. That's what I worry about when I go to bed at night.
Yeah, World War III. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
And what are other major issues that the 13th District and Michigan broadly have to worry about that you want to focus on that you think you might be able to solve if you make it to Congress?
So one of the things I've led at the state level is pre-K for all. So I sit on the Appropriations Committee at the state, the only Detroiter to sit on the House Appropriations last term and this term. So we're working on, with Republicans in this split government, to keep that program going because we all understand having those resources, especially for women being able to go into the workforce, is key and paramount to successes of our household. But what I'm going to focus on the federal level, and I talked about this when we did our Q-Line ride, is childcare. Now, my beautiful wife and I, we have 3 amazing children, ages 4 and younger. My oldest son recently turned 4 in January. Our middle son turned 2 on Valentine's Day. And our baby girl, who runs the whole household, she recently turned 8 months old. And so for our oldest child, to put him in full-time childcare costs more than our mortgage. It is unbelievable. And our salaries are public as a state rep. And so I make about $71,000 or so. I make 5 times the median income of my current district.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Your $71,000 salary is 5 times the median.
Just about,
Not the lowest, the median.
No. It's $14,000 is the median income of my current House district.
Oh, my God.
I have the poorest state House district in Michigan. I'm running to represent the poorest congressional district in Michigan, 5th poorest in the nation. And so if I'm struggling day to day to try to make ends meet, just imagine somebody else. I get calls on the daily from our seniors on fixed income who are literally just got their food assistance cut from the federal government down to less than $50 a month. How can you afford that when you got DTE bills skyrocketing, when they were paying $200 and now all of a sudden the next month is $800 with no change in their energy use? Why is that? People are fed the hell up. And so in reality, this is what it's all about. And that's why we're fighting. That's why we're running for Congress. We got to uplift some of this burden, some of the pressure and weight off of people's shoulders. And I hear it all the time. And guess what? Me and my wife are in the same boat. Or we don't come from a wealthy family. I come from a working class background. My grandfather worked at Ford Motor Company. God rest his soul. He passed away, unfortunately, last year. But he worked at Ford for 42 years. And the most interesting thing about my grandfather is he never missed a day of work in those 42 years.
Wait a minute.
Never missed a day of work.
42 years, never missed a day.
Yeah, and we was at his retirement party, and a couple years back, and he told me, and I asked him, and he told me two things. I said, Granddad, how in the hell did you do it? Because in reality, nowadays, people are looking for any type of reason to get off, whether it's factual or not. And he told me two things. The first thing he said was kind of funny. He said, well, son, I kept on drinking. The second thing was he took pride in what he was doing. He said that when I woke up, I knew with my two bare hands, I was going to serve a family or individual that's going to change their life. And I knew that Ford Motor Company, as well as the UAW, had his back. He comes out of UAW Local 600. But you fast forward to the year 2026, and my grandfather would tell you before he died, he said, this is some different age we're living in, different times.
Yes.
And the respect and the resources and the investment that these companies made in me, they're not making it anymore with our population, with their workforce. What they're doing is trying to figure out some way to automate you, AI you out of a job.
Yeah, no young person can be guaranteed even 5 years with a company, much less 42.
Exactly, Lori.
That might be a little bit of the reason why they don't come to work every day.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, you get what you pay for.
So how has your experience in state government prepared you for Congress?
It prepared me a lot. Now, last term, we served in the Democratic trifecta. The first time in 40 years, Michigan had a Democratic trifecta. If you look at the record, I was the only Democrat to sit on the Republican side of the aisle on the House floor. And so I got to know my Republican colleagues.
Why were you sitting on that side?
Because
what does that mean?
Represent the 1-seat majority. So we had a 1-seat majority in both chambers. And so I was lucky enough, and I chose my seat for a reason. Because I wanted to get to know Republicans as human beings first.
Okay.
Even though there's still to this day some Republicans I want to slap in the face with my hand, because I'm going to be honest with you, some of the stuff they're saying is appalling and messed up, some of the things they're supporting. However, I got to know a few, and I like to believe there's more commonalities between all of us than there are differences.
Okay.
And so it has prepared me for this upcoming role in Congress. Even though there's so much hate and division going on. But when you pull your phone out and you wake up every morning and you look on your timeline and you just see all this negativity and you just want to curl up. Sometimes I cry, I'm not going to lie, but you just want to curl up and give up hope. And what we're able to do in this position is to provide some type of hope moving forward and literally convince people that because of their voices coming together collectively, we cannot lose this fight. We got to push forward. And whatever we can agree on, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I don't care if you supported me or not. But I know there's some common ground. And let's build on that common ground. Let's find it. And then let's work towards doing something for the people. Because in reality, people are struggling enough as it is. And they're tired of all this divisiveness and division. They want the BS to be called out. But we have to cut through the BS and cut through the noise in order to do something really great for our communities. And that's what I'm looking to do in Congress.
Get some major results.
Yes, we have to.
You've received major endorsements from Bernie Sanders, Rashida Tlaib, Garland Gilchrist. What do they mean to you, these endorsements?
It means a lot to me. And I'm just so grateful and honored. And to tell you the truth, Laura, we've rolled out over 100 plus endorsements. USA Today, we had an interview with them about a couple months ago. And they quoted us on saying we were building the biggest and baddest coalition in the country. And it's so true because in reality, this isn't about me. This is about our values, and this is about the issues and what our people are going through right here at home in our districts. And if the people out there, your listeners, will support me, whether it's through a contribution, whether it's through their vote, I would tell all your listeners and people who are tuning in that you have a fighter in me, that I'm going to put you first, that Bernie and Rashida and Garland Gilchrist and the Working Families Party and so many of our labor unions and our faith leaders and our community leaders are backing us against the current incumbent. You want to know why? Because our current incumbent is so damn ineffective and they want somebody in there that's going to put in the work. And I'm a deliverer. All I do is deliver for people. That is my whole goal. And I believe how I define politics is the redistribution of resources, black and white. There's no gray area. If you're in these positions and you're not figuring out some way to bring home the bacon and bring home resources, then I need you to get out of here. The claim to fame for my current incumbent is that he brought home $25-30 million to the district. As a sitting state rep, sitting on appropriations, I've brought home multi-billion dollars to the city of Detroit and the surrounding areas. And that's why I'm getting local communities and people who live in these districts to support us, because they're like, you know what? Just imagine what he can do in Congress. Look what he's already done in the state house. And so give me an opportunity, give me a shot, and I guarantee you won't regret it.
Okay, last question. What's the best part of living in and representing Detroit?
The people. Flat out. Like, this is the city. This is the region that raised me. And I fought tooth and nail, and I was battling God, because God literally put on my heart that you have to do this. My life does not belong to me. It belongs to God, and we got to use our God-given talents and abilities to serve God's people. And so this right here is what a working class elected official looks like, and somebody that's going to fight for not only the people that they represent, but for the communities that help raise them. And that's what it's all about. It's our people. And every time I look in my children's eyes, because I got 3 young ones, and then the 2 Tyler boys is crazy. If they were here, they'd be running around, throwing stuff on the ground. And then our baby girl, every time I look them in the eyes, I think about what future are we leaving them. And I want to leave you with this, Lori. We need to start electing people that our kids and grandkids can look up to. And so for me, I have my kids, and I know our communities have a lot of young people out there. But think about this. Do you want your kids and grandkids to look up to the current incumbent, or do you want them to look up to somebody that's going to fight for them?
I agree with you, but I'll go one step further. I'm raising my kids to know the difference and to vote for the right people that'll do that.
Amen.
Donovan McKinney, thank you so much for being on, Lori, for the sake of the argument.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I love it.